Fox News just asked former President Trump about the drastic threat he issued to NBC and CNN a few months ago, and he stood by it.
Let me touch on this. Everybody's entitled to whack the media. After the Iowa caucuses, two networks didn't carry your speech. I was very critical at the time. But you said CNN and NBC should have their licenses or whatever they have, take it away. Sounded like you were threatening to go after television outlets that whose reporting you don't like.
Well, I think it's incredible. Some of them use the airwaves and some of them don't. You know, certain cable, I guess, it's a little bit different. License, But when you're using public airwaves and you don't have, you cover a candidate for months, you cover them as negatively as possible, or her, could be her, and all of a sudden that candidate wins in a landslide and it's very exciting and everybody wants to watch, and you don't cover his speech. It's incredible. And I guess it was Fake Tapper or somebody turned it off. He said, turn it off. I think actually MSNBC did do it, MSDNC, but they did do it. But I think it was CNN that didn't cover it. Jake Tapper, who I used to know, I used to actually sort of like him, actually, but he hurts himself very badly when he does a thing like that. And he hurts the ratings, too. You know, you look at CNN ratings, they're so bad. So you cover, though, I mean, think of it. You're covering somebody for a year. And this is the culmination. This is the big moment, and people want to watch it. And you say, I'm not going to put a speech on. How can you do that?
Well, my view is say what you want afterwards. You want to be critical, fine. But
you can do that, absolutely.
Let me move along.
We're going to break it all down, but first, I'm Brad Palumbo, and welcome back to Mediaite, your home for commentary and coverage on the intersection of politics and media. Now, for context, Fox News host Howard Kurtz asked Trump about this because of comments he made a few months ago, in January, after the Iowa caucuses.
Last night, it was amazing. NBC and CNN refused to air my victory speech. Think of it. Because they are crooked, they're dishonest, and frankly, they should have their licenses or whatever they have taken away. They put on Nikki Haley. She came in third. A distant third, a distant third.
There are so many problems with this that I hardly know where to begin. First, though, I want to acknowledge that at least some of Trump's criticisms of CNN and MSNBC and NBC and the other networks from a liberal perspective, some of his criticisms are legitimate. They definitely have covered him unfairly at times, and I do question their decision to not air or only very briefly air his victory speeches. I don't like the extent to which they seem to view themselves as gatekeepers of what information or ideas Americans can handle hearing, rather than as traditional news presenters who simply present us with the facts and let us decide for ourselves. And if all Trump were doing was making this criticism of the networks, that'd be perfectly fine. Yet Trump crosses a really dangerous line when he goes beyond this criticism and actually says that the government should target and punish these companies because he doesn't like what they've had to say or the decisions they've made. He also reveals his own ignorance unintentionally because cable networks like CNN don't have or need FCC licenses. But it's the point that matters here, that he actually thinks these networks should face government retaliation because of what they've said about him. This is completely inconsistent with the basic ideas of free speech and press freedom that are guaranteed by our First Amendment. It's the kind of authoritarian notion you expect to hear from some fascist leader overseas, not from an American president. Even conservatives or Republicans who otherwise really like Trump should not be on board with this idea. Because while ideally they'd defend the rights of even liberal media just on principle, even from their own self-interested perspective, they should still not be on board with what Trump is proposing. After all, if Trump can use the government to punish cable networks that cover him in ways he doesn't like, well, guess what? President Biden or a future president AOC or another Democratic president can do the exact same thing with that power to Fox News, talk radio, or any other form of right-wing media. Kudos to Fox's Howard Kurtz for actually raising this point and seemingly defending the rights of a rival network. But it was honestly disturbing to see Trump ramble on and not retract this radical position when presented with it. Unless he changes his tune, the many self-described free speech warriors in the Republican Party who still support Trump, well, they're gonna lose that First Amendment moral high ground. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Thanks so much for tuning in, and if you're still here, you must have found something interesting or insightful, so please do consider subscribing and sticking around, and maybe even turning on those bell notifications. Don't forget to hit that like button and comment with your thoughts, and I'll see you all in the next video.